Well, let's now shift our focus to Iraq, where it's being reported that as many as 400,000 children are still displaced from the fighting in Mosul in Iraq. Now, these are the findings of the international child NGO Save the Children, which says that 4 months after ISIS was driven out of Mosul, thousands of children are still vulnerable. It also states that just because the fighting in Mosul has stopped does not mean that the humanitarian crisis hasn't ended. Now, large parts of Mosul have been reduced to rubble. Schools, homes, hospitals, roads, playgrounds and parks are also left underneath the rubble. The Islamic State's self-declared caliphate collapsed in July when the US-backed Iraqi forces retook Mosul, that was the group's de facto capital in Iraq. This after a grueling 9-month-long battle. So this is the latest bit of information which is coming in, that although the fighting in Mosul has apparently ended, but that does not mean that there is an end to suffering for the people. An NGO Save the Children has said that as many as 400,000 children below the age, in the age groups of very young ages, they are still displaced and are in dire need of humanitarian assistance. And for more on this, we are joined in by my colleague Archana Solanki. Archana, what more information do we have on this?
Saleh, this is a report by Save the Children. That's an NGO that works for children and their rights. And basically this comes in the backdrop of after 3 months after which ISIS was driven out of Mosul. So this statement is by the Iraq country director of Save the Children, Anna Loxin. She says that just because the fighting in Mosul has stopped doesn't mean the humanitarian needs aren't great. If anything, children need our help now more than ever. She also talks about the fact that she's spoken to dozens of children who are still haunted by their experiences. They are left with psychological scars that will take years to heal. Remember, just in July, after those US-backed forces drove ISIS out of Mosul, things are really looking bad at the moment as well. It'll take years for people to rehabilitate and those children to get over this crisis.
Absolutely indeed, Archana. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us over the phone and getting us that bit of information.